The following podcast was brought to you by the members of the Casino Skunk Secret Society. For just $1 a month, you can unlock every audio and video episode available instantly. And don't worry about any commitments. You can quit at any time. So for just $1, you can download every single episode and then bounce out. Just head to patreon.com/casinoskunk. Welcome to the Casino Skunk Secret Society. I am Ralph, and today we have a good one for you. I'm talking about Chapter 16 of The Mandalorian, The Rescue. And I have brought on board the biggest fan of The Mandalorian that I know, good friend, comic legend, Michael Allred. You know his work from Ecstatic, Silver Surfer, Bug the Forager, Batman 66, X-Ray Robot, and my favorite, Madman Comics. So without further ado, let's get Mike on the phone.
Hello?
Hey, it's Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. How are you? So, what do I need to do?
There's nothing you really need to do. I can record from here, and then you sound good, and yeah, we could just chat. How's everyone doing?
Everybody's doing great. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this isn't video? This is just audio?
Just audio.
Okay, easy.
Yeah. You didn't like go and do your hair up and stuff, did you?
I did. I got a makeover and everything. Put on my best outfit.
Are you wearing the armor?
No, but I thought about it.
If it was video, I would say absolutely put on the armor. But did you make that?
Yeah, I after making everything, with a lot of help by my friend Corey, who is like an expert at this stuff. Did pretty much everything, and then I went to Etsy to upgrade everything. With, like, for instance, the belt bandolier. Mm-hmm. Mine was not perfect, and I got one that is. Anyway, long story short, everything I have now is, I would say, 99% screen accurate.
It looks amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, the stitching on my boots is the one thing that isn't completely screen accurate at this point.
Right.
But I'm pretty happy with everything else. And now I've inspired by this second season of The Mandalorian. I'm now, my next project is making my own character, who I call Boba Fett, the son of Boba and Fennec.
Oh.
So I love the idea of like when we see Cobb Vanth, and how fantastic was Timothy Oliphant, by the way.
He's awesome.
I love the armor being passed down, and then thinking, if I was to go a whole other generation, I could do any kind of paint job I want, yet still make it clear that it came down from Jango to Boba. It has the dent in the helmet, and
right.
But then I'm gonna just really play up the damage to the paints, and because I loved how just stripped of the paint it was.
Right.
And then when we come back and we see Boba's gone to his car dealer and got a new paint job.
Right. I'm sure maybe there's something in the Slave One. He's got some sort of detail kit. Like in my toolbox in my closet, I have like a little bit of paint for my car, like a little touch-up paint. So I'm sure he might. But it seems like that was kind of a lot. It looked cool too. I think that's the first time we've seen like Boba Fett with like clean paint.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, because even in Empire and Jedi, it wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, Jango was as nice as we've ever seen the armor.
Right.
But with Boba, and I think if my first thought about The Mandalorian in general is that it addresses what I would call my love-hate relationship with Boba Fett.
Okay.
Because I mean, I love The Mandalorian. It is now officially my favorite TV series of all time. In fact, it's beyond a TV series. It's my absolute favorite Star Wars anything. Second only to the original film.
I mean, this surpasses like The Prisoner and The Monkeys.
Yeah, I mean, it's infinitely rewatchable.
Right.
And it captures the feels. And that final episode was one of the most emotional experiences I've ever had watching any movie or television series.
Right.
The last time I was emotionally moved Laura and I were talking about this, it was Jojo Rabbit. I mean, Jojo Rabbit really moved, and where I'm like grabbing my shirt to, quickly wipe tears from my eyes.
Right.
And this moved me like that. It was like, what's happening? Why are my eyes welling up? I mean, and the anticipation of it, thinking it can't be Luke Skywalker. It's not going to be Luke Skywalker. They can't do Luke Skywalker. You see that single X-wing show up, and you go, no, it can't be.
Right.
And then you see this figure in a robe and a Jedi at his top form, moving through, and then you see that shot from behind where his saber is down, his left hand is ungloved, right hand is gloved, and you clearly see that it's Luke's lightsaber, and you're like, no, and oh my gosh! And then when the John Williams music plays his theme,
right?
And then everything from like Din taking his helmet off to show his face to Grogu, it just destroyed me.
And then R2.
Oh, yes! And R2 and Grogu looking at each other and like, we're cute!
Oh, man.
We're the cutest characters in the entire galaxy.
You'd never thought they'd become face-to-face.
No, it was just, yeah. Oh, man.
Like, I'm pretty good about, if I find something emotional in like a movie or TV or something, I'm pretty good about just sort of like covertly wiping my eyes. I was like shaking to the point where Stevie was like put her arm on my shoulder, and then as soon as the episode was done, she got up and grabbed a box of Kleenex. I could not take it. I love Luke Skywalker, and I didn't know what to expect. And when you see him like with the hood on and he walks into the room onto the bridge of the cruiser, and he starts to pull back his hood, and the fact that it was Mark Hamill's face under there, I couldn't believe it.
Oh, it was the best. It was the best. And to see, because we've never seen Luke at his peak.
Right.
He's barely trained by the end of Jedi.
Right.
And then with The Last Jedi, he's such a crank. Yeah, and he's over it. And so he's just kind of gives his last thing there. And so to see him so elegantly, calmly, without any resistance whatsoever, just go through there. I've always, I'm Mr. Optimistic, Mr. Half Glass Full. And when people criticize the prequels and the last trilogy, there's so much to criticize, but I am just so thrilled that they exist and we can go to that galaxy far, far away. And so I look at the stuff that I love. And for instance, with the Phantom Menace, to this day, I think it's the greatest Jedi battle we've ever seen with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Darth Maul.
Right.
That's just a beautiful lightsaber duel. It's so great. And I love Qui-Gon. He's one of my favorite Jedi ever, and Liam Neeson is my favorite thing in that film. Mm-hmm. But it's so fantastic, and to see Luke finally get, 5 years. This is 5 years beyond Jedi, right? Is that what we've been told?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been hooking up with Force ghosts and
right.
getting trained by the best.
And he had a crash course in the dark side during Jedi. And so he learned, you could tell from just watching the original trilogy, you could see where Luke changed between The Empire Strikes Back and the end of Return of the Jedi. When he's looking at Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda at the Ewok celebration, like, he looks like a changed person, and we got to see that version of Luke again. Like, this sort of proud Jedi. They're like, I love Return of the Jedi. Not all of it, but I love everything involving Luke. Luke is hands down my favorite Star Wars character, which is, I know a lot of people say like Han Solo or even like Boba Fett, but for me, it's always been Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is the guy. And it was crazy seeing him again. Unexpected.
He's the heart.
Right.
With the original film, you know, I'm looking up at, he's the character, as cool as Han Solo is. Love Han Solo. I have so much love for so many Star Wars characters. But that whiny teenager is who I related to.
Right.
He was me. And to see his growth, you know, that's what I aspire to. You know, I aspire to improve and progress.
Yeah.
And, you know, enhance my skills. And that's what we see Luke doing. And when we see him looking at Grogu and this look of kindness and confidence, and I mean, I'm just going to get all misty talking about it now. Just the
you're pulling at the strings right now,
and him completely understanding that Din Djarin has to like tell him it's okay because they have this incredible bond. And he's not forcing anything. He's just so chill and completely understands the situation.
Right.
And just having the signal sent out, and so all of that. But I want to go back to what I was starting to say, because why I just love this series so much. So again, when you're a kid and you have the most amazing movie experience you've ever had. Right. And which is what we did with Star Wars. And so just very quickly, every summer we would go on this trip to see relatives, and both of my parents, their parents live in Utah. So that we would go to Utah and you know, whether usually being a camper, and we'd go from one relative to the next. And the big treat was being Salt Lake City. And so the summer of 77, we're making the rounds, visiting family, and we're at my aunt's house, and us kids are just driving everybody crazy. And so Dad's like, hey, want us to drop you off at the movies? And we're like, yeah. On this little teeny black and white TV, I see just a quick image of Luke swinging Leia, you know, and coming to a galaxy near you or something like that. And I'm like, how about that? So they whip out the newspaper, which is how you found out what the time was for a movie theater back then. And they look it up, and they're like, if we hurry, we can make it. So we drive into town, drop us off at this big old classic movie theater called the Center Theater. It's not there anymore, but it's one of these all lush with the balcony and everything. And I'm almost positive this must have been the first weekend or something, because we went right in. There weren't any lines for the next show or anything. We went right in, and we were late. And as we're walking to find our seats, the first image I ever saw on the screen was where C-3PO was walking past the dune with the krayt dragon skeleton on the crest.
Oh, really?
So that's the first thing I ever saw. And what's super cool, after meeting and falling in love with Laura, turns out same exact thing in California. She arrived late to see Star Wars, and that's the first thing she ever saw too. And so I have a tattoo of 3PO in front of a krayt dragon skeleton as my bond with Laura. Yeah. But and Laura and I have so many other things like that. But anyway,
so how about episode 1? The first episode of this season, where you get to see the krayt dragon.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll get there.
Okay.
But just to explain this initial experience, because we come out, the movie's over. It was a religious experience, because I really was transported to this other place.
Right.
We come out, Dad's waiting for us, And we're like, please, 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 can we see the next show? Please, please. And he's like, yeah, okay. And so again, there's no line or anything. And we were able to go right back into the theater and see the entire film from the beginning. And and again, to this day, the greatest theater experience I've ever had in my life. So then, because back in the day, there was no internet or anything, I never heard that there was going to even be a sequel until the summer of '80, and heard that Empire Strikes Back was coming out.
Right.
So it's like, wow, this is amazing. There's a new Star Wars movie. Go see Empire Strikes Back. And then, a lot of people like to say it's the best Star Wars movie. And, I will argue that it's the first one. The first film is as close to perfect, and it's self-contained. Yeah. And my main criticism of Empire Strikes Back is that, one of our favorite characters gets frozen in carbonite. And then, hey, guess what, kids? You have to wait another 3 years, because that's when I found out there will be a third movie. But we're going to have to wait another 3 years. And when you're a kid, 3 years is forever.
Right.
But then we see this super cool character, Boba Fett, and we see that he's smart enough to hang out and drift off the garbage and starts following Han Solo and the Falcon. Mm-hmm. And so they establish how cool he is, and he's also the guy that leaves with Han Solo. So you have this character that is instantly popular, one of the coolest designs in pop culture history.
Right.
And so for 3 years, I'm daydreaming, he has Han Solo. He's going to let him out of the carbonite. They're going to be best buddies. He's going to be super cool. Yeah. So then after an eternity, Return of the Jedi comes out, and then Boba Fett is killed in the first act.
Yeah.
And like a chump.
Yeah.
Like a chump. So he never got his full potential. Then we get the prequels with Jango Fett. And we see Boba holding the severed head of his father, his clone donor. Yeah. But so he never reached his full potential.
Right.
And so then, cut to the Mandalorian, we get this even cooler design. They've enhanced the design and made the character. So Din Djarin becomes this super cool character who, if he makes a deal, he keeps the deal, with the one exception with the child, mm-hmm. and for good reason.
Right.
And so there he is. We finally see Boba Fett at his full potential. Mm-hmm. And so the first season is like, yes, this is the coolest thing ever. And then with the second season, they bounce everything up. And then with my man Robert Rodriguez, right. My good buddy gets to bring back Boba Fett in full, and Boba Fett himself finally gets to reach his full potential and is cooler than ever, and just so bliss upon bliss.
His episode was fantastic. His introduction to the return of Boba Fett was pretty incredible, because I was never.
Oh man.
I'm a little bit younger than you. I remember seeing Empire in the theater, barely. And then I definitely remember going to see Return of the Jedi. So I didn't really feel like I was able to appreciate the character in the 3 years. Because I was born in 77. Yeah. I was born in February 77. So I was never the hugest.
So this always was.
Pretty much. My mom says she took me to Star Wars, but I would have been like 3 or 4 months old. Like, I'm not gonna. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't cry. That's my only thing. But so I was never really huge into Boba Fett. But when this show started, I was like, oh, this is what Boba Fett could have been, and I was pretty excited for this character. I thought he looked cool. I thought we finally got to kind of see all the things working. We know what his arsenal is. We know he has the grapple gun and the whistling birds and the flamethrower. We knew how much his armor could withstand, and it started becoming like this really cool, like, okay, we know what he's capable of, and if a situation presents itself where it's too much, then we're like, okay, he's in trouble. But for the most part, like, this is my first time like really becoming a fan of like Mandalorian stuff.
Right.
But this is definitely Robert Rodriguez's episode is absolutely turned me into a Boba Fett fan.
Oh man, yes. I mean, I have, I collect a lot of those sideshow hot toys, and I'm taking my Boba Fett and making him look like he looks now.
Oh, cool. Did you see them Hot Toys is releasing a Qui-Gon? Have you seen
that
one? It looks amazing. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it does. In fact, so after we saw the season finale, I went right to my computer and ordered Luke and the Jedi, because I have Luke in the Stormtrooper. I have Luke in his original desert tunic and whatnot.
Right.
I have him in the Beskar gear, and I have him in his X-wing flight suit. But for whatever reason, I never pulled the trigger on him in the full Jedi, and it was like, nope, I am commemorating this, and sorry, Laura, but I'm going to spend some more money.
Well, you can. I mean, you could just have him holding Grogu. Like you can, if you get I think Hot Toys also has a Grogu with the Mandalorian, and you could just that image of him standing in the hallway holding the child with R2-D2 next to him was like everything to me.
Yeah, before the elevator door closes, it's like that memory.
That's exactly when my wife got up and grabbed the Kleenex.
Yeah, I've never. I mean, if you were to look at our house, my studio, it's. I mean, I was kind of I've been pretty cool about trying to keep all the clutter to a minimum. But this last year, The Mandalorian is the only thing that's kept me sane. And so like I got or pre-ordered everything. So I've got I already have The Mandalorian as we see him in the first 2 episodes, but the Beskar version with the child in the pram, that's on pre-order. I've got an IG-11 on pre-order. It's like I have the life-size child. And now I'm sewing the baby Bjorn bag so I can carry him around. Oh
man, that's great! Didn't you? You said you retrofitted him, right?
Yeah, because now Hot Toys is doing a life-size version of him articulated, and he has a different face where you can see his teeth. But I didn't know that when I got mine, and so I took mine, which is pretty much just a lifelike statue. Nothing moves.
Okay.
And he just stands there. And so I took him apart and I gave him a soft body and I made his spine and legs from one of those, if you've seen those bendable tripods.
Yes.
And it was just perfect. So even like where you would put the camera on the top of the tripod, his head tilts and turns just like you would the camera. And then I have this lock bendies that for the arms. So and then patted him out and everything. So he feels he has the girth and cushiness of a real child, and is fully articulated. Yeah. So
that's so great. I gotta see that pouch because that was my favorite. That was my favorite thing. Where when he had the baby Bjorn like kind of hung over his shoulder, and he could use his cape to kind of cover him if he needed to. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. What is that? Oh, I bring him for luck.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And then what about you're making a spear? Are you going to make the spear, or do you have one already?
Oh, I'm drawing a line at the spear, I think. I do. I have the rifle. I put that together, and in fact, I even wired it so that blue light shoots out of the forks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I've gone to town on this stuff. It's been my main hobby, building this stuff.
Yeah.
And now to do my Van Gogh Fett, I'm. And let's talk about that, because I was already fantasizing about Boba and Fennec, getting domestic bliss, and then we see that.
Yeah, it happened in Jabba's palace.
Like, she was completely comfortable sitting with him on the throne, and I was like, okay, this is going to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, my Van Gogh is in full swing.
How about Bib Fortuna?
And it was hilarious. I'm thinking he must have done Boba wrong somewhere, and maybe we'll find out why, because there's just one thing. The only way they could have made that episode better is if Bib sprung the trapdoor.
Yeah.
And then Boba just hovered with his jetpack.
I was thinking the exact same thing. And then when he did it, when Boba reached down or to throw him off the throne, I thought he was going to hit the button, open the door, and throw Bib Fortuna in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy seeing Jabba's palace again. I did not expect that.
I tell you, man, Jon Favreau is my hero. Him and Dave Filoni are like, it's like they're tapped into my soul.
Right.
And you want to see this? Here you go. You want to see a Krayt Dragon? And they give us all these little bits of information. So what I'm thinking, filling in the blanks, is that the Sarlacc got ate by a Krayt Dragon, and somehow that's how Boba got out of it, but he's half dead. And the Jawas combined strip his armor off of him. Yeah. And so he wakes up naked in the desert and is just tooling around for 5 years. And then finally hears about Cobb Vanth, and is probably would have gone in there next day to get his armor back. But Din Djarin gets it, sees that, and then follows him. And then everybody's thinking, these guys are going to go at it. And their conflict was so brief. I loved it. Mm-hmm. And then it turned into a buddy flick.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I love how honorable, and Boba isn't necessarily an honorable person. He's not had a history of being honorable.
Right.
But he was like, nope, I made a deal with you. Until you get the child back, I'm going to help you. That was so cool. Again, they just completely amped up the cool factor on Boba Fett. And right. So I was always like, why can't you make Boba Fett as cool as he's supposed to be? And they finally did. He
even shot the rockets out of his knee pads. Like I've known about that since I was a kid reading the old tech books. And that's the thing that like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau do, is they like, okay, here's the toys we have, and this is how we used to play with the toys. But we've never actually gotten to see them do that.
Yeah, but that was Robert with that, because the script he got was very lean. Oh, yeah. And Favreau just said, it's all yours, man, and just kind of like cut him loose. And so it was, because that episode was just pure action.
Right.
And so like, what do you want to do? And that's one of Robert's great skills is, action and being creative and stuff. So, I mean, the outline, the script might have said, we finally get to see Boba Fett use his knee rockets or, knee bullets or
right.
lasers or whatever. Knee missiles, but there you go. It's like these guys, like you said, they played with the toys. They like, I want to see this, I want to see that, and they've given it to us.
I think
given it to us.
It's
so amazing.
I feel like they're similar to us, where we lived through like almost 20 years of no Star Wars, and so we would consume everything we possibly could just to get more information. And I feel like they read all the same books and played with all the same toys that we did. They read the back of the toy cards, on every character, and it shows, because it feels like a show that I want to see. It's just a show I want to see, a show I've been craving.
The curse of the films has always been that while you're waiting, you are anticipating so many different things that you can't help but be disappointed.
Yeah.
It's virtually impossible to satisfy everybody. Mm-hmm. And so there's going to be all of these great moments. I mean, first, when you see the crawl and you hear the music, you're all blissed out. Here we are. We're in that galaxy again. And then, I hope this happens, and it doesn't. And I hope that happens, and it doesn't.
Right.
For me, the final trilogy, the ultimate disappointment was we never saw the original three characters together.
Right.
We never saw Han, Luke, and Leia together. It's like that's the one thing that you could have done anything else if you could have just put those three characters together, and they could have done it at the end. They could have all been Force ghosts.
Right.
Han has got a connection with the Force at this point, and he believes in it.
Right.
He told them it was all true. So why couldn't we just gotten that? They put Luke and Leia together at the end. In fact, if I were to get my hands on it, we see Luke and Leia together, and then fading in the background, everybody else comes in, and Rey sees a connection with all of the people. We heard all their voices.
Right.
She heard all their voices. So why couldn't we have just seen everybody at the end and have this phenomenal ultimate reunion?
Yeah.
That would have it for me, man.
It'd be like the Sergeant Pepper cover, but of Star Wars.
Yes. Yes. Why not? I know it sounds cheesy. It does sound cheesy, but there's cheese all over the place in this stuff, and we let it go. But that I just. Please, that's all I wanted, and so I felt surprised at that.
It's an easy fix. It's doable.
But then again, that's what we're seeing happen now. I mean, that's why this is great. They have all the time in the world to lay it all out, and now we've got all these other series coming, and some are going to be crappy, some are going to be fantastic. But go ahead, just throw everything at the wall. I don't care. Let's see what sticks, because they've given us the Mandalorian, and it's just wonderful. And how great was Ahsoka Tano, man?
Right.
That was so. I mean, I love how, because with the Mandalorian, the fact that he doesn't even know what a Jedi is, we finally see how big this galaxy is. Because when you watch the films, you get the impression that everybody knows each other in the galaxy.
Right.
Everybody heard of Luke, and it's like, no. I love. In fact, the galaxy is so big that Din Djarin doesn't even realize he's in a cult. That there's all that the real Mandalorians aren't this creed that he's been following his whole life.
Right.
So I love how big the galaxy is, and it's going to get bigger and bigger, and we're going to discover new things and new worlds. The potential is there, and I think the people that they're hiring. I mean, Peyton Reed rocked it, man, and Taika Waititi, how great was his episode, and Deborah Chow, who killed it in the first season, and she's working on the Obi-Wan series.
Right, her episodes were great,
and now we got one. How are they going to bring Hayden Christensen into that? How is that going to work? Is Obi-Wan going to have more exchanges with Darth Vader?
Unless it's flashbacks?
It can't be flashbacks, unless they do the whole de-aging thing throughout, which I guess they could. But I like the idea. When you saw those original Ralph McQuarrie concept drawings, some of the early Darth Vader designs was kind of like the life support stuff was almost like scuba gear. And if it would be cool, again, here's me just brainstorming, if we see Anakin in different stages of, we saw in Revenge of the Sith that they went straight to his classic iconic Vader suit. But what if he experiments with other stuff, and tries to, and so there's just stuff that, covers his mask, which we're all very familiar with now, just over the mouth. And so I'd love to see him like, no, design it this way, and then he keeps going back to the Darth Vader suit that we're all familiar with. I would love to see different, where we see him scarred up a lot of the time.
Right. They can do also like a force projection, like conversations, like they did sort of in Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Where they're talking from across the galaxy, because we saw him in Rogue One in the Bacta tank, and he didn't have his armor on.
Yes.
So they could do something like that. Or they can do like an Iron Man thing, where you see his face inside the helmet, like moving around, like when you see Tony Stark's face with the heads-up display. It might be a bit much for Darth Vader, but I'm on board with them sort of building off of the prequels and fleshing them out more to make some things more palatable. Some of the things that you don't really care for in, the prequels, they could build on that and make it better. I mean, with Dr. Pershing in The Mandalorian, they kind of build off of the cloners from Camino and stuff. So it kind of makes those cooler. And
they confirmed that he's a clone scientist with this episode. And then even with Baca, who when she hears Boba's voice, the way she reacts to hearing that,
right,
and like recognizing him as a clone. And so it's cool how they're tapping back into that. And what's the long-running joke with the original stormtroopers all being clones, they're badass. But then as soon as they become recruiters that, recruited people that have next to no training, they're just the worst. They're literally cannon fodder. And Laura just laughs her head off whenever she sees stormtroopers dropping like flies and being completely useless.
In Robert's episode, and then the episode, I want to say it's the episode that Carl Weathers directed, there's just stormtroopers dropping left and right. Just dropping all over the place. I love it. That feels like Star Wars to me. It's the whole being on the Death Star and just taking out stormtroopers. In the cell block when they're all filing out of the busted elevator and they're just getting picked off and forming a pile in the room. It's good, man. It really makes me excited for Star Wars. And even if you're not a fan of let's say the sequel trilogy, there's still stuff in the last couple episodes of The Mandalorian that I think elevate that too. Cause I don't I feel like with the cloning, they're obviously creating a body, and that body has a low M count, and so they're using Grogu's blood to build up the M count, and everybody's assuming that's midichlorian. I think the way I see it is they're cloning Palpatine, which we know happened in Rise of Skywalker, and I think the rejected bodies that aren't taking to Grogu's blood is what Snoke is, a rejected.
I completely agree.
So these shows can just start elevating the films. So any kind of thing that fans aren't cool with, they can kind of tweak and mess with. It's it's like editing after the fact,
Yeah, and they know when to be self-deprecating too. Like when maybe he's like Jar Jar Binks under the mask, so there's and start making fun of the way Gungans talk, little things like that, and it does fill everything out. It just peppers everything and makes everything that much more grounded, and it's the best. I actually have the episode playing while we're talking, so I'm kind of watching it as we're talking. And it just got to where Moff Gideon has got the Darksaber over Grogu. And then they have this conversation, and for a brief moment you think, okay, he's a reasonable man.
Right.
But then the second Din goes for the child, and you're like, don't turn your back on him. And sure enough, Moff Gideon is a jerk. And strikes him in the back. And what a great fight. That was terrific too, man. And we see the spear.
Yeah, I thought he was going to split the spear in two, and he was going to do use them like batons, like Daredevil or something.
That would have been cool. See, then I would make that.
I had a theory. It did not come into play. I was hoping that he was going to take the spear to the armorer, and she would fashion it into a samurai sword for him.
Nice.
But because we didn't get the armorer this season. And it's a character I really like.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be back.
Well, me too. In fact, I think the big dude, that he got in a fight with, I bet he'll come back. And because I think he hanging out with the proper Mandalorians, and he's loosened the strictness of taking the helmet off. I think that he's going to come in conflict with his cult.
Right.
Because of course they'll have I I guess they'll arm wrestle for the Darksaber or something. So Boca can have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this whole other trip that they can take with the third season. I'm just jazzed, man.
And then we're gonna get the book of Boba Fett right after.
Yes. It's just please more and more and more. I love it. They've been so stingy for my entire life, and now they're just okay. You know what? We're just going to throw everything at you. Here you go. You're going to choke on it. And the pace of this stuff too. When you run with all these streaming shows, like for instance, when the child was taken. I thought, oh man, that's the third season. The whole third season is going to be him chasing down the child. But no, they get it, man. They like, no, we're not going to do that to you. We're gonna just keep the pace of this thing going, because any other series will take one story element and milk it for 13 episodes.
Right. I could have seen it where they showed the green lightsaber at the end of the episode, and we would have had to wait a year to find out whose it was. Any other show would have done that. Yeah. Yeah,
because with the first season, they resolved everything, and he had this mission, and you could have ended it. It would have been like, so that your imagination would say, okay, he finds his home, and that's it. And so if there was never season 2, you could still enjoy season 1 over and over again and feel a sense of closure, even though it has these threads. And they did it again, where everything is resolved, but at the same time, they have Moff Gideon. Boca doesn't have the Darksaber, and then. And so anyway, I just love how they just no. We're gonna leave you satisfied. Yeah. We're not gonna put Han Solo in carbonite. We're not gonna pull that thing on you. And you're only gonna have to wait a year, and then we're gonna just entertain the crap out of you all over again. Right. I love that. Because I've lost track of how many series that I'll start watching, and after 1 or 2 episodes, I'm like, you know what? I'm barely interested in this. I'll go to the last episode of the season, and I don't feel like I missed anything. Right. All that stuff in between is like, it's just treading water. And with this, every single episode is just a gem that you can watch over and over again. It's impossibly good.
And you could watch them individually. Like, you could watch Dave Filoni's episode, and it's completely different than the next episode, which is Robert's episode. They're 2 completely different things, but it has the same characters in it. It's crazy. Yeah, I really, this season I think has been phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed it, front to back.
Oh my god, it's amazing how packed that first episode of the season is. There's that great pre-credits thing with there's the wrestlers, and then pow, we take off, and then again with Timothy Olyphant is so cool. He's one of my favorite actors. I'll watch him in anything. And when he shows up in the doorway and he's all lanky, that's his silhouette, and we're like, wait a second, I don't think so. And then he takes his helmet off, and and just that head cock where you see Din Djarin's like, hold on, something ain't right here. Right. He's always so offended when somebody takes their helmet off. Right. And because they're not a pure. And he makes a deal and he keeps it. I love that.
What's great is also the episode last week where he takes the helmet off and he just looks so uncomfortable the entire time without his helmet on.
Yes.
To then juxtaposed with this week's episode where he takes it off and he looks proud. Like it's...
Yes. Last episode when he took his helmet off, all his game just evaporated. Right. He had 0 game. Right. And the other dude's like, filling in the blanks and like,
brown, calling him brown eyes.
That was brilliant. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and also without his armor on, it took him a while when he's fighting on top of that transport.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, man, I'm not as protected. I'm not used to not being protected. Right. He's getting hurt.
Yeah, because the armor's his second skin. He's in it all the time.
It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. everybody working on this series is in sync. Everybody's got the same goal. And how great it is, all these badass female characters.
Yeah.
When we see the two Mandalorian and Fennec and Dune just pushing
Busted.
through. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the beginning of the episode where we got the two Mando buddies, Boba and Din, come walking in and to the Mandalorian women, and I didn't think sidekicks were allowed to talk, and Boba gets in that skirmish, and how she fights using her jetpack.
Right.
How
she goes
cool
off
was
the
that?
wall. Yeah. She's a professional wrestler. That actress, yeah.
We're probably going to see, which is, you've seen Haywire, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they might use more female wrestlers to pull from to build out characters, because they know how to rock it.
Yeah, they're working it.
And
Rocket, yeah.
And Rosario Dawson, how perfect was Rosario Dawson?
She was great.
I can't wait to see her series. I think I'm more excited for her series than I am for Obi-Wan, and that's saying a lot.
Really? I love Obi-Wan, so I don't. Man, yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'm fired up for both, for sure.
Do you watch Ewan McGregor's motorcycle trip shows?
I haven't. I should though.
Watch the most recent one, because it's they had these special prototype electric Harleys made for them, and so they're constantly challenged to find places to recharge.
Uh-huh.
And if you love Obi-Wan, and if you love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan,
uh-huh.
you got to see this. And where see him in these places where there's some places where nobody's ever even heard of Star Wars, and other places they get to Machu Picchu, uh-huh. and Ewan is looking forward to this very blissed out spiritual experience, mm-hmm. and people catch wind that Ewan McGregor is there. And and all of a sudden it's a autograph signing session.
That's funny.
It's great fun to watch.
Yeah.
There's been 3 of them. He and Charlie Borman, the son of John Borman, do these trips, and they've got this incredible bond, and you get a really nice Jedi vibe out of it. But yeah, I think I've been anticipating the Obi-Wan series for so long.
Yeah.
That I've kind of and then when watching Mandalorian, which I love so much, and the first time we actually see a Jedi in action is Ahsoka Tano, mm-hmm. and I love how she played it so good.
Yeah,
that's why I just got, you know what, I'm every bit as excited about that because we're going to go the same way that the Mandalorian has had free reign to run in different directions.
Right.
I think her series have that kind of wiggle room. And so, as much as I love Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, I think my concerns about the limits that are going to be forced upon them would explain why I said that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I just am excited because I don't think they're just going to stick around on Tatooine. I'm hoping they don't. I'm interested to see like.
They can't.
I want to see. So we've always heard that Darth Vader hunted down the Jedi Knight and killed almost all of them. It would be cool to see Obi-Wan out there trying to protect the Jedi, that are still out there. And then,
it's really he only needs to come. He only needs to go to Tatooine from time to time to check in and make sure this Luke kid is okay.
Right. We haven't seen the moment. We haven't seen the moment where Obi-Wan finds out that Anakin survived and is Darth Vader.
Right.
That could be huge.
That has to play into it. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm fired up for all of them. There's like a Cara Dune show coming out called the Republic Rangers, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's like Patty Jenkins has a movie coming out about Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, that's going to be the Rogue Squadron, and her dad was a fighter pilot. And
right.
so she's really tuned into to having these characters that are fighter pilots. That's
being a kid that grew up without Star Wars for the majority of my childhood, when it was just the three movies. I'm so glad. I'm so glad they're putting stuff out. And if I don't like it, cool. I don't have to talk about it. If I love it, I get to talk about it all the time. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that it's back. And I'm glad there's guys like you out there, because like the internet could be kind of toxic when it comes to Star Wars now. But I'm so happy that you're out here, the positive fans.
Yeah, I never go there. It's a waste of energy. In fact, being negative about anything, and there's been a lot to be negative about these last 4 years. Yeah. And it's like, for me, it's just keep hope alive, man. Keep hope alive, and just push forward. And I know that what I do for a living is an escape. It's selfishly for myself, and hopefully anybody that likes what I do. Here you can just kind of, put your brain in neutral and go somewhere else for a while.
Right.
And which is what I love pop culture so much for that, because people can express themselves in thrilling, exciting ways, whether it's music or movies or what have you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what fuels the human spirit, being creative. And that leads me back to Jon Favreau, who would have thought, this guy from Swingers, he's so brilliant, and not just with his storytelling, but the technology that he's developed with this amazing system where the actors are actually seeing their environment and playing off their environment. So what I kind of envision each of these series having their own little warehouses built with that technology, and everybody's just cut loose. Yeah. They go into the bubbles and are in these literal worlds that are pre-created before they even shoot anything. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
I saw a thing on YouTube where not only are they pre-created, but if they need to move a prop around or a mountain, they can do that within like minutes. There's 5 people on set sitting behind computers, and they're like, the director could be like, I don't like that barrel in the background, and they'll just go and they'll move it around, or they'll change the shape, or they'll bring a mountain in so that the composition looks cooler. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's
really
cool.
and their angles. I want to see this environment bird's eye view. I want this worm's eye view. And you'll see where they'll instantly change these giant screens like flipping a Viewmaster reel. Yeah. Just goes and then shoot, it shifts over and it's all changed. Right. I mean, amazing. Right. Amazing. And I know that with the prequels, I think George Lucas found himself in a situation where nobody dared to be collaborative, and say, whereas with the original trilogy, and especially with the original film, if you've seen that documentary where he, got feedback from Spielberg and Brian De Palma, and doing the re-edits, and every little thing just magically came together. Right. And with the prequels, I think George Lucas was so enamored with this technology and the way he saw the future, with the digital and all of that. And he had his hands full. And so when you realize that, it's amazing what he was able to accomplish. And as flawed as they may be, and as critical as people may want to be, wow. And Jon Favreau couldn't have built off of that if he hadn't broken ground the way he did. And so now everything looks so perfect. From time to time, you can kind of make out where the seams are. Mm-hmm. But with the second season, I was looking long and hard, like, wait, they had to shoot on location for this. I mean, the hillside in Robert's episode, I mean, was that real?
I think that was a location.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But he won't say.
Oh, he won't?
He won't say. No. Yeah, I specifically asked him, and he's like, he just ignored the question. But yeah, so I don't know. I just don't know for sure. Yeah. Obviously, the tower and that's not real when you see the long shot, but the hillside itself, people are running up and down something. So did they build that? And then did they flush it out with grass and rocks?
They had to have shot it outside. I don't know. It looks like it's outside. I feel like
I don't know, man. Look at the ice planet, and it's I'm just eating this stuff up, man. And the jungle environment, they're so real.
Yeah, when they're on that transport vehicle in last week's episode where they were, taking the explosive materials through the jungle, like that fight on top of that cargo truck, it looked like straight out of Raiders. It looked like they went and shot it in the jungle. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. There's a documentary coming out on season 2 on Christmas Day.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Did you ever see Wages of Fear or the remake Sorcerer?
No.
Where these guys are paid a lot of money to haul trucks full of nitroglycerin.
Okay. I haven't. It sounds awesome.
You got to see them. Wages of Fear is the original film, and it's you're just chewing on your fingernails through the whole thing because you start to care about these dudes and why they're risking their lives with this dangerous task.
Wow.
And then William Friedkin remade it with Roy Schneider. Mm-hmm. And there's one. The poster is the most famous image where they're trying to get trying to get the trucks across a rope bridge.
Oh, okay.
That's the poster image, and you just see it swinging and stuff. And but anyway, that's what I thought of when they're in these transports with the dangerous explosives. And so it was a mixture of that and Raiders of the Lost Ark, because they also did the Raiders thing with when the Jawas stripped the Razor Crest.
Oh,
and he's chasing down the Razor Crest, and they're trying to rub him off on the rocks and whatnot. That was very Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Oh, and what about the Razor Crest getting blown up, man? Oh, that was crushing. I love that ship, and I pre-ordered that Hasbro thing, man. I bought into this thing, and you destroyed it. I want to in season 3. I want him at a used spaceship lot, getting a new another Razor Crest.
Well, I have the Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar, and the day after that episode aired was a mini Razor Crest Lego. So I just dumped the bag out and said, okay, I guess I'm done. That was Robert's episode too. He had a big episode.
Yeah, it's called The Tragedy. And so I'm thinking, is the tragedy that Grogu got snatched or the Razor Crest got blew up? Oh, and his disintegrator rifle got blown up with the Razor Crest too.
Right. And Zero, the droid. The droid that he was using to translate.
Yeah. And you know who the voice of that droid is, right?
Right. I can
never pronounce
Iowade?
It's
Iowade. Richard
from
Iowade?
the It Crowd.
Right.
Yeah. I'll let you pronounce it. So, the casting in this stuff is just. I mean, Michael Biehn showing up. That was a nifty little treat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so great seeing who they're bringing on. With Game of Thrones, which oh my gosh, talk about love-hate. My favorite thing about that entire series was Peter Dinklage and Pedro Pascal. His character was so cool, and his death was the most devastating in that series. And so when I heard that he was going to be the Mandalorian, I was like, awesome, I'm in.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage should show up. He's worked with Favreau before. Sure. He'd be great in Star Wars.
I just heard he's going to be in a remake of The Toxic Avenger.
Wait, is he playing Toxie?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I'm on board. I'll totally watch
that.
Yeah,
I think I could just listen to his voice.
Right.
Same with I'm blanking from What We Do in the Shadows, the greatest voice on the planet, Matt Berry.
Oh, Matt Berry.
Matt Berry. Oh man, he kills me.
Right.
Like his entrance in the It crowd is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. But it's there are all these actors. Oh, I'd love to see Matt Berry show up in one of these shows.
In Star Wars, he could be like, oh man, I'm just thinking of him as a bartender in a cantina, but I think that's just because of that episode with Mark Hamill.
You're right.
Where he's a human bartender.
Yeah.
Jackie Dakota.
Oh, classic. Oh, he'd be a great imp too, man. If he was Imperial, to just go all bad. Like, how creepy was that dude from the last episode? You know,
sitting there at that table. Yeah.
Yeah, and poor Din Djarin just trying to, again, zero game, just trying to keep us cool.
He looked like a deer in headlights.
Yes. With his Burt Reynolds mustache and
which he shaved. He shaved between that episode and this episode.
Yeah. I love the in-between stuff because between season 1 and season 2, his right thigh armor changed with no explanation at all.
Oh, really?
It's just all of a sudden it was different, and so I immediately had to upgrade, and so I made my new right thigh armor.
That's cool.
And I hung the other on the wall. So, oh my God, it's fun to. This is like all of the conventions and appearances that we've missed this last year have all been jammed into this conversation.
I know, and I'm bummed because I was going to go to Star Wars Celebration this year. It was going to be my first time going, and it's right here in Anaheim. You know, I have the free Disney parking, so I could just park right across the street. Like, I was all set. We were ready to go. I was ready to get like lightsabers and stuff. Yeah. And it was a bummer that it didn't. And I need to get you. We need to get this thing, this vaccine or something. This whole thing needs to end so we can get you to Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, it's the thing that it is like top of the wish list, man. I spent I don't know how much time going over what parts I would, and I'm planning on buying extra parts so that I can, super customize my lightsaber.
Yeah,
and just make it completely unique. And I just want to be there. I could be happy just standing in front of the Falcon and just
you have no idea. So you've seen a ton of pictures of people standing in front of it, but there's nothing that'll prepare you for seeing it for the first time. There's literally nothing. It'll knock the wind out of you. It's crazy.
Wait.
Since you were a kid, you probably always wanted to like live in a Kenner playset, and now you can be in one. It's nuts.
And you've spent hours and hours and hours and hours there, haven't you?
I've been in there several times. It's never lost its magic. It's so good. I mean, when you do come, when it's finally everything's good to go, I want to be there for your first trip. I can kind of give you the ultimate experience as far as where to go in and when the things get revealed, and I won't over explain things, but I will definitely guide you to where it leads up to the Falcon. So
yes, please, you'll be our Jedi. We'll be your Padawan.
I mean,
I think we've mentally reset for fall next, like a year from now. We're thinking that hopefully by that point, most everybody will have had the vaccine, and I'm hoping that things will, because I know they're saying spring, but realistically it's probably going to be late. And we're just mentally preparing for.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about fall is that the sun goes down nice and early, and you get some really good orange sunsets, and that'll look really good in Galaxy's Edge.
And the temperature is more comfortable. I mean, because Laura grew up 4 miles from Disneyland, so we used to go to Disneyland all the time. Mm-hmm. And the last time we went, we were able to take everybody, and it was the year before Galaxy's Edge opened up. So we were in the Mickey Ferris wheel, and we could make out parts of Galaxy's Edge, the spires and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was like so close, but so far.
You just wanna reach out and touch them. Oh, I'll get you there. I'll get you there. I will, and I'll make sure you get. I'll make sure you get your lightsaber reservation, your cantina reservation, and your ticket to Rise of the Resistance. I'll make sure you're set.
Right on.
Because it'll change you. It'll change you. You think you know what it's going to be like to see the Millennium Falcon, but trust me, you don't. You don't know what it's like.
I even put an outfit together that is like street normal, but semi Star Warsy, so that it's unfortunate you're not they don't want people to think you're one of the cast,
right?
So my clothes will make me feel like I'm part of the galaxy, so I'm but not conflict with the parks rules.
Yeah.
That happy medium.
You get a specific jacket or maybe even a vest. People wear those in real life too, not just Star Wars. Yeah, I hear you. I was ready to do that for Celebration. Create a unique outfit, and I have an Obi-Wan lightsaber and a Luke lightsaber, but I was thinking of using the Obi-Wan lightsaber to hang from my belt because that was lost in Episode 2 in Geonosis, and so I could have gotten that from a street urchin, termite Geonosian. Like I had everything planned out. I had everything planned out. But next Celebration, I think it's in 2 years now. It'll be 2022. And but yeah, let's get you over there. We've got new leadership now, or we will in about a month, and then hopefully things turn around. But because I miss you guys, I miss seeing you in like San Diego and stuff. And I want to see you guys, especially in front of the Millennium Falcon.
I can't wait.
All right. Is there anything you want to bring up? Talk like I know X-Ray Robot.
Yeah, that X-Ray Robot is all out now.
Yeah, I need to read those.
We have a 10-issue commitment with the new Excellence series, which is our new X-Men series that springs off of Ecstatics. Mm-hmm. This is the biggest head start I've ever had on anything. I'm on the 6th issue, for crying out loud. It's possible I'll have this thing all done before the first one comes out. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but I have another music project to follow up my Bowie project.
Oh, cool.
I can't say what it is.
That's fine.
But it's if you know all the stuff that I love, you could narrow it down pretty significantly, I think. And then I have my first. I have so much stuff I'm not supposed to talk about.
You don't have to.
I have the biggest projects I've ever had in my career in front of me right now.
Oh, really?
I can say that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
These like real tent pole kind of stuff. Yeah, and bucket stuff. I'm pretty jazzed.
Are we gonna learn about that sooner or later? Is it gonna be?
I don't know. Everything is just so weird. Because a lot of these projects got stalled, last spring, and because everybody was trying to figure out if comic book stores were even going to be open. Mm-hmm. And so everything just kind of got stalled at this, staggered. And then everything got unstalled at the same time. So things that were on my schedule overlapped. All of a sudden were coming together at the same time. And so this one project, which arguably could be the biggest project I'll ever do, was in danger of not happening for me because I had to pass based on my schedule, and it was eating me up. It was like this was presented to me, and I was like, oh, man, you've got to be kidding me. I can't – there's no way I'd be able to start at that time because I have to finish this other stuff. And then the sweetest words I've ever heard in my life were, let's see if we can make it work with your schedule.
Wow.
And then for a few weeks, I just kind of put it out of my mind because I thought it would be too good to be true. And it would drive me crazy trying to anticipate it. And then the next sweetest words I heard were, you're all set. We'll make it work. And, and so it's a go. And I'm just, it's so weird to have so much awfulness around us in the world, and to then at the same time have so many wonderful things to be looking forward to.
And I'm glad you're looking at the positive. Like, we need more people like you.
I couldn't survive otherwise.
Yeah.
If I dwell on darkness even for a second, I get thrown on these horrible psychedelic trips. It's like what Han's documentary is about. Is, you know, our son, he's
right.
had to watch me go through these weird I shouldn't even talk about it, but it's disciplined me to to just constantly move to the light.
Yeah.
I just have to concentrate on what I can do, to make tomorrow better than today, and then just power on.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to survive otherwise.
Well, I just want to let you know that right next to me, I have two lightsabers, a Millennium Falcon, a Bosk, some Green Lanterns, and a shelf of Madman. So
nice.
The stuff you're putting out there is making people happy, and I totally appreciate it. There's a day go by where your creations aren't staring me in the face. So I highly recommend anybody who's listening to this to follow you on Twitter and wait and see what projects are coming up, because you've done a lot of like varied things. And so if you're not into Madman or Batman 66 or X-Static there's going to be something that you've done that someone will like. So you've brought a lot of happiness to me and my family, and hopefully my listeners will catch some of that by listening to this, because I just adore your work. Both you and Laura are amazing people, and I cannot wait to see you guys again in person when we've kicked this virus to the curb. So it was really great talking to you.
That means the world coming from you. Thanks big time. I really appreciate that. Oh, and people that listening to this obviously dig Star Wars, so I would push them to the Silver Surfer series that we did with Dan Slott, because that's got some Star Warsiness in it, and I'm extremely proud of. So I would love to turn people onto that too.
Cool. Thanks. Give my best to Laura and the family, and have a Merry Christmas.
And back to you and yours, bud. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.